certain parts kind of like repeat. So I would just trace it instead of, I usually have like a compass and I would kind of like repeat it, but matte media, or what is it? What's the other one? Molding paste.
Oh.
Which is just like acrylic paint without pigment, essentially. But it becomes really thick, and then I would just take like a knife and a ruler, and you could actually just like carve into it. And so a lot of the lines have like, or it's like scoring, you know what I mean? So there's like a thin, you could, if you feel it, you could touch it. Kind of like an edge that's created. So you could paint right up to it because the brush will just catch onto that little.
Wow.
And then, you know, it's kind of supposed to be this like action of this like person taking their shirt off, and then I don't know if you could tell, but like she's pulling like a string out of her chest. That's like revealing this like lip that the pulse is now like coming out of. So like you read it this way, but then the pulse kind of goes that way, and it kind of like a fast heartbeat, and it kind of calms down. And, you know, it's all kind of like it's all essentially just painting about like angst, probably. Just like I think my doctor's not knowing what was going on with me, you know. There are a few parts I had to touch up, like those faces aren't sort of like complete. You could tell it's kind of like lower in quality, because it's a hard thing about like tracing and repeating is that you want to try to make each face look the same, but it ends up being off slightly. But
yeah,
I think you can't obsess about those things too much, otherwise it'll drive you crazy. But you know, I think for a long time I was making these paintings that were like similar to this like researcher painting, where the depth of field is really shallow and everything is looking more like architectural or mechanical, and I'm interested in those kinds of like images of like infrastructure, whether it's like an actual building or technology. I think early on people were kind of like, oh, you're making a lot of like technological looking paintings, are you? Or like sci-fi looking paintings, are you like a techno optimist? And I was just kind of like, hell no. Can't believe you would ask that. It was shocking. I think like people were like, are you like an Elon stan? And I'm like, no. And so I think with this painting, I was just kind of like, I want to try to loosen up a little bit. And I don't know. I think I've always admired like 90s graphic designers and stuff like that, and so I wanted to sort of emulate that kind of imagery. Like, this is totally just like a Yu-Gi-Oh background, you know, that like colorful like halo effect around the, you know, the monster with like colorful lights in the background. But you know, I grew up on all that, so it's like I
naturally finds itself.
Yeah, it's like that graphic quality. I always feel like I want to like introduce into the paintings, even if it's kind of like lowbrow or, you know. I think I used to try to quote philosophy a lot more in my paintings, and it just kind of like got to a point where I don't really know what I'm talking about. People don't really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a lot more honest to just kind of let the things that you kind of were attracted to take over. This is like, you know, 90s like cheap plastic wristwatches, but like this, like that was that other painting that I showed you. Or like this kind of like blur effect, and this kind of like halo. Like this is as Yu-Gi-Oh as like as Yu-Gi-Oh. Basically, my work is about wanting to be a Yu-Gi-Oh illustrator.
Wanting to be Yu-Gi-Oh.
Want to be Yu-Gi-Oh. these are like radar systems that are developed by like, you know, Western forces and probably killing children, you know, unfortunately, but
naturally.
But that's sort of part of the critique, I guess. Yeah, this is literally like a poster by Jekyll Ward, kind of like symbolic figures of man. This one was always funny. Like I don't know what I was reading, but I was like interested in the idea of like being able to externalize like a world or something. So I think like this guy's like farting another version of himself, and he's like pissing this guy out. He's also like speaking him into existence. And this guy's kind of like decomposing, so he has like little corpses inside of him. But yeah.
I never would have read that, I feel.
No, and I think that, you know, this one, I was making this when I was like 22, so it's like I had just discovered philosophy, and I was trying to like talk about ontology and epistemology and blah blah blah. But what I was actually more interested in, I think, was like the process, because this is like on a metal plate that you kind of like put tar over, and then you, or like spray paint, and then you kind of like take a needle and you etch it and you put it in an acid bath, and then whatever is exposed to acid, you could then put ink on, and then it would print.
Right.
But you could see like I probably put a bunch of like screws on the metal. Do you see that?
I see this. I see. Yeah.
So these are like screws that I put on the plate, and I must have spray painted over it.
Oh, interesting.
And then so the negative would then
register. Yeah.
That kind of stuff was more interesting. You know, I think I was interested in the idea of like recreating like shadows and light. Kind of like after the Second World War, you saw like every 5 years there was like a huge cultural shift or like a new sound in music that was being made. But since the 2000s, like a lot of the music has kind of sounded like similar, or he
it's like retroactive almost.
Yeah, or it's like I think he was also questioning what this sort of like desire for like some sort of like nostalgia is, or like culture keeps tapping back into something that's happened like 20 years prior, and you could still see that, you know, in fashion or in music videos, always looking retro, or like baseball teams are always, their new jerseys are always like
have like a retro logo.
Yeah, so it's like what is it? What does like a truly futuristic sort of like cultural development look like?
Yeah,
that's not sort of like he said that like cultural progress as an idea has been replaced by technological development. So it's like the new iPhone is supposed to sort of
that is the new culture,
illustrate kind of like human evolution, when prior it was people who actually had time, money, and space to actually experiment. And, you know, he's like art school becoming monetized has killed creativity because people can't do weird things anymore. And so you know, the real reason why I'm not more successful has nothing to do with, I think, the quality of my art or like what it means. It's because I'm like a hermit who doesn't go out.
No,
I don't socialize.
I fucking feel you on that.